Welcome back. We're not doing a tutorial video here. I have made a side bet with Jordan, aka Giuseppe, the Golden Tee mascot, if you will, on a pro setup 18-hole match. Won't get into the terms of the bet because that's between he and I. But I know he's going to be trying his best to beat me. I'm going to explain a little bit, but I'm also going to kind of just play some. I played a few games today while I was at work. My mind is not fully into Golden Tee, so you get some raw viewage of how I play when I'm not warmed up, if you will. And that's exactly what we want. Kick it over there to the right, keep that wind sideways. Okay, when I did the Desert Front video, I did discuss about the stinger shot. But what I said was, I'm not going to go into detail about the stinger shot. Simply because the players that have learned to use the stinger shot have taken a lot of time to break down which clubs to use and click counts and things like that. And I don't want to give away the secrets and level that part of the playing field too much. Those that know the stinger shot, great. Those that don't, the only advice I can give you is there's no set club on what to use. You have to be able to perform stingers with every club between your 0 hybrid and your 3-iron, and sometimes occasionally your 4-iron. The 4-iron probably comes into play with the stinger shot the least. I've only had to use it a few times. This one, because it's a sideways wind, could actually be done with a 4-iron. But I'm going to use the 2. Alright, as far as breaking down the math, I will go into a little bit of detail about that. You don't need a calculator to do the math. You don't need to try to figure out, like, to exact what percentage you need to go. If you're a casual player sitting at home and you want to use a calculator, that's fine. But for me, I find it much easier to use what I refer to as bullet points, and then I go from there. And the bullet points are your 40, 50, and 60. For a 2-iron, your 40% is going to be 98 yards. Your 50% is 122.5, and your 60% is 147. So we're going to start with our 50% at 122.5, and it leaves me 6.5 yards, which is roughly 2.5% more. So I need to go 50% plus 2.5 more. And with Rocky 1, and some of the greens play, even one of the greens plays below, and a couple of the greens play above. Rocky's one of the greens that play above, so instead of going 52.5, I'm going to go 54, because I don't want to leave it short. And if it does go long, there is rough behind it to stop, and I'll just have a chip back or a putt back from the rough. And as you can see, I went 54% and the game registered it as 55. It will do that. For some reason, when you perform stinger shots, it's always going to add 1 or 2%, and that's based off of how far you're pulling down. If you're pulling down to a lower number like 30 or 17 or something like that, it's going to add more percentage. The closer it is to 60, the less it adds. So just keep that in mind. If you have an even green like Desert 1 and you need a 50% shot, and you're like, well, I don't want it to come up short, so I want to go to 51. You don't really need to. You can go to 50, and it'll register it at 51% and add that extra, 2.5 yards to make sure you don't come up short. And the wind is pretty negligible in stinger shots as well. I don't calculate for that at all. only the crosswind. Alright, for this one, we need to figure out which club we want to use. We have a sort of back pin. I will say that when you're going over this arch, unless you're going to the right side of the green, the driver, even with the insider, does not clear without a curve. So we're going to go to the high loft driver, apply a javelin. We're 4 yards short of our mark, but as you can see, we do have a down 2. So that's going to give me a little bit extra. It's going to give me about 1.1% extra, which is 3.5 yards. So I'm going to end up going about 329 because I don't have much wind in my face. I feel like the high loft driver will make it there. If it comes up short, it's only going to be a little bit short, but because the wind is so small, I should be able to kind of gauge this in and either get to go in the hole or stop right next to the hole. And because we're teed up with a gold tee, the wind's going to have just a hair more effect. And this is kind of more of a feel point of where I feel like it's going to go. I could be right. I could be a hair left, a hair right. I could be dead center. I don't exactly know. I just go based off of where I feel like it needs to be. That looks a hair crooked. And I'm a little left. And like I said, 328.5 is what the math said I was going to get to. I went 328.2, so I was going to come up short. That might have actually been 328 point something to the hole, but the way the game comes up with the distance to the hole is if you're 328 yards out, it'll call it 328. If you're 328.1, it rounds it up to 329. It will always round up because if they say 328 rounding down and you hit a 328 yard shot, you'll come up that 0.1 or 0.2 short and then feel like the game cheated you out of the distance. Alright, for this shot, from the expert and advanced tees, you're able to kind of chip in with an iron. I don't believe we have a good angle to chip in with the zero bird. Some players might try to chip in with the zero bird here. I'm not going to do that because if I miss with the zero bird, with it being so far downhill and tailwind and the down 3 green, it's going to go completely off the back of the green. So I'm going to try to dial in with a club that's going to get me to stay near the hole. We're going to start with the 4 wood. I need to gain 9 yards. 9 yards is going to be about 3.2%, just a hair over. I have 1.5 forward wind and a 3 down for the green. And it is downhill. First, I'm going to calculate how much that 4.5 combination is going to go with a club factor of 0.6. We're looking at 2.7% more, and we needed to add 3.2%. So now we only need to add 0.5%. And this green, if I remember correctly, plays down 3, so we're going to go 2.5% off to 97.5% because we do have that 0.5 that we needed to add to. We're going to take that out of the 3. And we're going to go over, for a downhill green, when it hits on a downhill and low elevated green, when it hits, it's going to kind of take off to the right instead of barely kick to the right, especially using the wood. So we're going to go somewhere around there. And again, this may be off, but the idea is to just get really close to the hole if we can't get it in. And see, even that was long. That 3% downhill, I normally play that with irons, so I need to reconfigure what this is going to play when attacking it with woods. But then again, we don't have pro contests, cough, IT, so we don't get to attack that with woods very often. I'm going to try to tee off and get up towards the top of the hill without getting too close to that rock ledge. And that's as far as we're going to get. Alright, let's aim at the flag. We're going to find a club. It's going to get us to the flag. The high loft driver will, but we do have a tailwind. We're going to move over to like right about here. I feel like that's about right for the slight left wind and the right one. Add 23 is 8%, 13 times 0.55, 6.5 down 2. I don't know if that's going to quite make it. Let's go up to the high loft and go 96%. And even that, yeah, that was still way short. I don't know what I was thinking. Ooh, that's not even close. Kind of went off fuel there. Oh well. I thought the 10-mile-an-hour wind was going to take it further. We have 65 feet to the green with a right 1. Before I judge this, I'm going to go here. I get a right 2. I'm going to go over here. I got a down 3. The down 3 kicks in till about right there. The right 2 kicks in till about there. So it's going to be a right 1 closer to a right 2. So we're going to go 6 clicks over. See that right 2 that was closer was actually pushing it further right. If I went 5 clicks, which is what the math would suggest, I would have been short. Alright, we want to get that wind a little bit more sideways, so we're going to move over here instead. I have shown people a shot where I kick it off of, there's that little U shape in the mountains, and I use a Maniacs and kick it off that. That's more going to be for pins towards the left with the sand trap, or pins that are tucked close to the mountain. Add 24 to that. Make 331, slightly down, slightly uphill. We're going to go to the high loft and do 96%. That's going to be 30 to the right, 3 left. Is 24 right. We're going to go right about there at 96%. And that was the right distance. I thought I was going to end up right of the hole. I thought the left kick was going to kick it over more. Alright. We're not going to play around with this one. We're going to try to sink this and get a hole in one. A 2.5 angled wind is going to end up being pretty close to 3 sideways. And we have a right 3. Or not 3 sideways, but the square root of 3. A shortcut that I found is anytime you have an angled wind, to find your downwind and your crosswind. And if your crosswind is, if you take the right or left slope that you have for your green slope, you want your crosswind to be the square root of that number for it to be what I call an ideal setup to be able to do a stinger shot through, or kind of even with a wood to allow it to hit and bounce through. So we're just going to leave it as is and do the math. We need to lose 28 yards. 11% is going to go roughly 27 yards. So this is 11.4. It's a hair over 11.4% off. And then we are adding back the square root of 3, which is 1.7. With a club factor, we'll say it's close to 1.4. So we're going to go to 10% off. That's going to be more than, should be more than enough to get us to the hole. And yeah, it wasn't quite enough, but it got us to GSPs. I probably needed 1 more percent to get through the hole. Alright, for hole 7, there's numerous different places to tee off to. I've seen some people tee off over here on the fairway. I do not ever recommend that. A lot of players like to tee off down here by the water's edge. I don't recommend that. I only use one of two tee positions, and the first one is to this little mountain right here, and the second one is probably a tee position I'm one of very few players to, and that's, you see there's a little rock out here. My pointer thing in the mini map's pointing to it. You can see it. It's a little bit redder. It's about the color of the bridge. Sometimes I'll gold tee with a maniacs and a driver and tee off over that rock. If you do attempt that shot, you need to have headwind pushing back to you. You'll hit the mound or the mountain thing that's after the rock, and it'll actually feed or funnel the ball down to the same exact crevice every single time. And I only do that when I have a wind position like this and the pin is tucked close to the mountain, because it allows me to go over the mountain with a ranger and a 7-wood. So it's a very very seldom used shot, but it is in the arsenal. And for here, I kind of this is one of the drives that I kind of play by feel with a sniper to sit right there on the top of that mountain. Best thing I can say or suggest is to just play that drive over and over with different wind setups. You always use a sniper, and you'll find out that it's a pretty simple hill to hit. You know, obviously you're going to have to adjust left and right for wind and club up or club down depending on if your wind is headwind or tailwind. Alright, for this one, without wind, if I find a club that's close to the pin distance and apply a maniacs, I know I'm going to be good, because it plays up 4% and there's an up 4 green, but I have 8-mile-an-hour wind in my face, and when you apply a maniacs ball, there is, and I discussed this before, I believe, if you apply a maniacs ball, the ball hangs in the air longer and it eliminates the club factor. So if we go to a 4-wood and apply a maniacs, our maniacs and the 8 wind are going to cancel each other out, and we need to gain an up factor of 8, which is the 4% up for the green, and then the up 4 including with the club factor. So I don't think the 4-wood's even going to quite be long enough. We'll go to the 3-wood, and 26 yards that we need to lose is 9% off. We apply the maniacs, it cancels the wind out. The 9% off with a 4% up green would be 5% off, and we have an up 4 with a club factor of 0.55 is 2.2% off. So if we take 2.5 of the 5, that's 2.8% off. So if we go 2.5% off, it's a hair more at 97.5%. So that's what I want to shoot at, to give it a chance to get to the hole. And then we're gonna go about 8 clicks to the right for that right 4. I think it's about there. I'm not counting clicks right now. And then I'm going to adjust a hair back to the left for that 8 wind is slightly to the left. I'm just going to play it where I feel like it's good. Left of that U. Maybe a hair right. Oh, right there. Alright, so we're going to go 97.5%. Okay, the right 4 didn't kick in much. Oh well. And I was terribly long on that. So maybe, like I said, my brain's not fully warmed up. Maybe the up 4% does play with a club factor. Whee! I feel like Jordan is probably doing better than I am right now, so I'm going to play risky. Okay, I was actually really hoping to get a pin that was tucked over here. Because the pin that's tucked over here, I have a shot that I've pretty much mastered that allows me to curve the ball in and attack all of these weird left pin positions. And when it's pinned to the left, a lot of players like to curve it around the left side of the mountain and let it ride that slope in the fairway and the green and the rocks down onto the green. I actually don't do that. I tee off way over here and curve it around the right side. Shared that with a few people. I just simply, I won't say what the shot is. If it was, if this was the shot I needed, I would go ahead and do it. But I line up a 4-wood right here, and I have to have the same setup for this one. I move the gold high tee all the way front right, and then I apply a wind cutter. I adjust a little bit for the wind, and then I do some form of a down swipe like this, somewhere between here and there, depending on where the pin is, if it's closer to the water or closer to the mountain. And then the up swipe, I'll let you figure out on your own, but it's my pretty standard curve for an up swipe. I only do one real up swipe other than straight. Alright, we're going to use a 4-wood here, just for the wind to here, and then go a little bit more for the right 2. I need to gain 9 yards. That's 3% up. I have a down 3. It is downhill. I'm going to play it like it's a true down 3. Cancel each other out. See if this makes it to the full shot. And it didn't. So the down 3 played with the club factor, and we can actually calculate that real quick. We needed to gain 3%. We had a club factor of 0.6 with the 4-wood. Times 3 is 1.8. So that left us 1.2%. And the 4-wood goes 290. So 1.2% would be 2.9 plus 0.58. That would be 2.9 plus 0.58 is 3.48, or about 3.5 yards, which would be 10.5 feet. Or 11 feet, or 14 feet. So it actually played with the club factor, and then I still needed to add about a yard, and that might have been because the wind was angled down just a hair. So again, even though this green is way below you, it plays, and here's a hidden secret from most of the holes in Golden Tee, it plays flat. It doesn't play recessed. It doesn't play like you need to take some percentage off because the green is below you. There's a lot of holes in Golden Tee that play as if the green is level with you, even though it's visually above you or below you. Alright, for this last hole, we're going to use the 9-iron instead of the 8-iron it told me to use. You need to go 20 clicks to the right, and then 18 clicks to the left for the right 3. So we're just going to go 2 clicks this way. I need to add 2 yards. I'll probably get close to that with the down 1 and the slight forward of the green. We're going to call it negligible. And I don't know which tee box I'm in here because Rocky 9 has like 75 fucking tee boxes. It's ridiculous. And quite a few of them look the same. I think this is the down 3%. So we're going to go down to like down 2.5. Like I said, I think it's the down 3. It was the down 3. Okay. That's good. We got some GSPs. We didn't get in the hole. I need to go a little bit more to the right. Apparently the right 3 didn't kick as much. And it tends to not do that, as you could see from a prior shot when I was hitting into a green below me at the slope of the green. When you have a downhill green and a recessed green, the slope of the green left and right doesn't play nearly as much. I'm not very confident, even with 15 under on pro settings. But I am confident with the GSPs. I'm thinking that we're going to end up tying this, and I hope to win with the 46,000 GSPs. Jordan did not make the chip on 1. It's alright. He's still got Rocky back to play against me. I don't know who. I have to remember who they. Oh well. And now we'll go ahead and start Rocky back. I know this video is going to be long, so bear with me on it. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and cut here, and I'm going to start another video for Rocky back.